Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 101 today for the Russian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys didn't miss the previous one, episode number 100 at the Singapore Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But that was an entertaining race for episode 100. I'm sure here at 101 we'll get some more action as ever on the F1 2019 game, bringing you all the racing action you could ever need in the absence of some real Formula 1 action. So we come here into Sochi, the Sochi Autodrome. No rain forecast until the end of Sunday though, so no rain on Saturday, and most of the race looks to be dry, but maybe a few awkward laps at the end of this Grand Prix then on Sunday, but at least Saturday will be all dry for most of the race. It will be kind of plain sailing for us. In terms of the R&D chart, not many teams moving around, then all of us plateauing as we get to the last third of the season really. It's now kind of crunch time in terms of, you know, now fully I can say we are in the championship fight of course, and we're looking to try and control the kind of situation we're in with Lewis Hamilton, Lucas Weber and Lando Norris kind of all trying to catch us up and nipping at our toes there, and hopefully my teammate George Russell can help me out there, and we can still have some decent pace. Obviously last time out we didn't win that Grand Prix, so the streak was broken. It had to come to an end at some point. 3 wins in a row though, can't complain. Now in the kind of driving seat of the championship, but Russia has always been a very hit and miss one for me, especially on this game. I always seem to get into trouble at this Grand Prix, so let's see how it goes for this one, but it could be another topsy-turvy one. But before we get to the race, let's see how Saturday goes. Hopefully a bit more plain sailing on the qualifying day.
Welcome back to Sochi. We're about to be joining the action down in the pit lane as the cars get ready to embark on their qualifying runs. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction, and over the course of a lap it's easy to get that balance wrong, and that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now and it never gets any easier.
So like I mentioned, it's all sunny skies and dry at the moment on Saturday, and will be for most of Sunday there. So just now trying to do our one and only lap in Q1 to get through into the second part of qualifying there. Obviously with our car, with the pace it's got now, hopefully should be comfortable, and you can see we actually topped the timesheets there in Q1, so some really positive signs from that. Russell in P9, some time to find, but it's actually all very close actually once you get, I think, to about P5 there with Verstappen in the first of the Renaults there. So fine margins as ever at this point in Season 5 of the career mode. So now we move through into the second part of qualifying. Little lock up on the front left there as we went into turn 2, so maybe lost a little bit of time there, and just generally maybe not the tidiest lap completely, but at the same time I felt pretty good about this lap. It wasn't maybe as aggressive as I could have been. I definitely could have maybe attacked some of these corners a little bit more harshly, but I thought it was a pretty decent lap as we come through then the last corner. Nice and smooth there, that was through the apex. P3 there, Russell P1 at the moment though, so he out qualifies me there for now in P4. We're down to P8 now in the last 20 seconds of the session. I thought we could have been safe here. We go down to P10, we've got 3 seconds left, and you know what is coming, unfortunately. I thought I was confident. I was too overconfident. I thought I was safe there with that lap time. Yes, it wasn't as quick as George Russell, but I thought we could have made it, and actually in the end it's only a matter of a few tenths there that gets us knocked out from Q2, and so that is it. But alongside me is my championship rival Lewis Hamilton, so very exciting times actually for the race then. Lucas Weber and Lando Norris, the two other championship rivals who kind of need more catching up points in terms of the race there, they make it through to the top 10 shootout, and myself and Hamilton, the two that are kind of further away in 1 and 2 in the championship, we're out of the second part qualifying there. So interesting times then for the race ahead, with some rain maybe to come at the end of it. It's definitely going to be a very interesting one, and we've got some work to do now to try and get back through the field and get back into the points first and foremost, and see if we can try and catch back up to our teammate, because I'm sure he'll have a decent qualifying. It seems like our car has some decent pace around here. Just a shame that I was, a bit too overconfident. I haven't actually done that in a while. For the last half season, I've always gone out for a precautionary second lap and sometimes wasted tyres because I've been too cautious. This time around, the one time I'm overconfident that we can make it through, and lo and behold, we're knocked out there. But that sometimes happens in Formula 1, so we'll just go through the Sunday and just try and make the best of it, like I said.
Welcome one and all to the Russian Grand Prix. We're just a stone's throw from the Georgian border here at Sochi as we get ready to begin the race that served up an absolute cracker back in 2015. A last lap collision between Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas sparked controversy in that race, so let's hope the racing is just as tight today. Situated just 3 miles from the Georgian border, the 3.6 miles Sochi Autodrome has 2 notable overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and then turn 13. 18 corners in total here, 12 to the right and 6 to the left, and it's an average lap speed of around 130 miles per hour. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Weber, Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, the engineer, and Daniel Kvyat. Hülkenberg, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll, Devon Butler, and Bottas. Vettel, Giovinazzi, Romain Grosjean and Pierre Gasly. Magnussen and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so here we are then on the grid alongside Lewis Hamilton, just outside the top 10. Not exactly where we want to be, but I know the car has some more pace in it, as Russell's kind of demonstrated there with his qualifying position. You can see that one little indicator of rain in the end, which is going to be very awkward. But at the start of this Grand Prix, all dry, we're going to go for a very extreme strategy here. I'm going to underfuel the car by 1 entire lap, because our engine is so efficient. Every race I end up, even without a safety car, I end up with about half a lap of fuel that I don't need, because I'm trying to save the engine temperatures whilst I'm battling people. So 1 minus 1 of fuel we're going to start off with. It's going to seem a little bit odd at the start of the Grand Prix to be so low on fuel, but we will make it up without even noticing midway through this race. I'm confident in that, and it's going to kind of set the tone for this Grand Prix of being very aggressive and just going for it here from this lower position. And we've got George Russell, our teammate, on the front row, so we know the car has some pace here, so we just need to try and unlock it as per usual in the race. So here we go then to 5 red lights to the Russian Grand Prix alongside Lewis Hamilton, our championship rival. The lights are out and we're underway. It's a good initial getaway. We're going to try and cut across, but Kvyat is there on the inside. It's 3 wide between myself and the Racing Point car of Hülkenberg as we make a little bit of contact with Hülkenberg and some more. Oh my god, we've been spun round and airborne there on the rear end of the car. And it's all gone wrong for us here at the start of the Russian Grand Prix. The safety car is out as there is a massive shunt at the start of this Grand Prix. Hülkenberg completely demolished out this Grand Prix. I think he hit the wall straight on there. Our rear tyres are shot. I don't know if we got damage or not. The car feels a bit weird, and it's going to go round now. And it's just a bit of embarrassment now at this stage. Under yellow flags, we spin it around. Very classic Ferrari scenes, unfortunately, at the moment for me here. Very much so, just with a random spin there, because the rear tyres, well, you can see the rear tyres right now, absolutely cooked. So we're going to box in this lap, but I don't actually think we have any damage here as we look through. Very odd situation, and now I'm kind of like very flustered at the moment, trying to look around like a deer in headlights, kind of, you know, very spooked basically what happened. But if we calm things down, I can actually notice we have no damage on the car somehow, but it was because of this incident then. It all happened so quick there, and it was such an odd one. You can see there, simply put, I just didn't actually notice how far along I was, maybe to Hülkenberg there, and I was so focused on trying to go left and overtake Hamilton that I pretty much just put Hülkenberg into that very awkward position where obviously the track has a very awkward part of the circuit where there's runoff and it cuts off and the runoff stops being there and the wall comes in rightwards, and that's exactly what Hülkenberg hit. So I've got a 5-second penalty I now need to serve in the pit lane, which is fair enough. I'll put my hands up. That is my fault. I fully did not realise how little room we had to work with there. We were already 3 wide, so that should have been my kind of onus to actually realise that. 3 wide, I should have just stayed there basically boxed in, but I was adamant I wanted to try and get alongside Hamilton because obviously he's my championship rival, but amazing airborne, kind of half airborne crash there on board with the Red Bull. You can really see the amount of airtime myself and Holcomer got there. I mean, the Red Bull is very lucky that I didn't come over him if he continued on there, so he's lucky for sure. But now we're into the pit lane then, the end of lap number 1 for a pit stop for the medium tyres, because I may as well also change my tyres, because I have to come in anyway to serve the penalty. I'd rather serve it in real time, because now I'll go into the pit box, the team will stop there for 5 seconds, that's the penalty. So now I don't need to worry about any time penalty at the end of this Grand Prix. I'd rather have that, because now I know for sure where I actually am going to be at the end of this race when I cross the checkered flag. But yeah, no damage on the front wing there, somehow. I'm pretty sure there is some sustained damage on the car elsewhere though, because it felt very, very odd on that in-lap, and it still does as we exit the pit lane. But the tyres are changed onto mediums now. My thinking is obviously it's a free pit stop, because I'm going to be at the back anyway. And so now we can move on to the soft tyres for our first proper pit stop when everyone else makes theirs and switches onto these mediums. So basically in like 10 or 12 laps time, I will be on the faster compounded tyre compared to everyone else, and that's hopefully how we'll make up some time and make up some positions. But right now as it stands, I'm in last place, P19, and we've got a lot of work to do now, even more so than we did when we started this Grand Prix. And so we're there with that restart then for the green flag on the end of lap number 3 onto 4, so we've got a long way to go in this GP still, and so points aren't out of the question, good points aren't out of the question. We just need to actually keep our head down and just use the pace now of this car and hopefully not get caught up in any more incidents in this Grand Prix then. But not a very quick restart, I will admit, on the green flags there. Still P19. You can see the rear end snapping away a little bit. Really, the responsiveness of the car was very low at the first few corners here. Like I said, on the outlap as well, you know, just catching back to the safety car, the car felt a little odd, so I'm sure there is some sort of little damage or weirdness with the car after that weird shunt and spin. I mean, the fact that the car went airborne just means that something has to be a little bit off there with it. But we've got yellow flags up ahead now on lap number 4. We're still last place here, so still not got to grips and getting into the groove of things. But Kvyat goes out the Grand Prix, so we get one free position up into P18 then. But it's a case of just, getting into the rhythm, basically, of the car. Maybe it might also be the fact that the mediums versus the softs just aren't that great as well, and eventually I need to just wait for the time when the soft tyres, of course, everyone else has on, they will start to wear out, and at that point, then my tyres will be the faster compound to be on. And so we go for a late dive here on Gasly there. So maybe I've heard myself in the commentary box. Down the inside we go with a very nice dive bomb there. A bit of a late one, to be honest, but caught Gasly kind of napping, kind of just sat there, kind of not getting the apex quick enough there. So we just nipped down the inside. And now we're on the rear end of Antonio Giovinazzi, the Italian, in the Haas there. He goes very defensive there early on, and that allows me to go for this switchback move from the left-hand side to the right of the circuit there. Get the power down a little bit earlier, and we'll need better inside line for the next very awkward tight right-hander, but we get the job done and slot it into P16. Then you got Sebastian Vettel next up in the Williams car, a massive 4-car train here. I think also led by a Williams car of Magnussen there, so a nice Williams sandwich here, and in between a Red Bull I can see. But here we go, DRS open for Vettel and myself, but we surely have the better straight line speed. We're going to try and get a toe off the Red Bull here and get a double pass maybe on Vettel and Devin Butler, our old F2 rival. Down the inside we go of Butler there, slot in. We have to make a little bit of contact with Magnussen as we try to literally slot in between the two cars, but we get the job done up into P14. But you can see K-Mag is so slow for some reason on the soft tyres. I don't know if he's got damage or what, but he's mega slow there, holding us up. So we go around the outside now of this second last corner. Such an unorthodox place to make a pass there, but we've done it, lo and behold, up into P13. So in the span of, what's that, 4 laps, we've made up 5 positions. So very good progress, but now is the time where the gaps are forming, and now we have to get our head down and just pump in those lap times to try and catch up to these cars up ahead. As we're now on the back straight of lap number 8, closing up to Lance Stroll then in that second Red Bull car, passing him with ease there as the Ferrari just waltzes past the Red Bull, one of the slowest cars in a straight line in this season of career mode there. And so we're up into P12. Next up, our old teammate from seasons 1 and 2, Kimi Raikkonen in the Alfa Romeo there. We'll close up on the next lap, lap number 9 in sector 2. Just have to try and be patient here through these corners, try and close up as much as we can and keep up with him. But you can see here, he's losing time every acceleration zone. So that will be the tyre where kicking in a little bit. You know, his soft tyres now, they're only about maybe, you know, 4 laps away from making the pit stop there. So definitely now, I think these mediums are a faster compounder tyre compared to these soft runners. So Raikkonen gives us a good old squeeze on the left here, but we make the move anyway. Not going to get scared off the road by a simple little squeeze like that. I mean, I've done that plenty of times to other people, so we're all fine with that. Doesn't phase us. And so we're in P11. It will be P10 now as Grosjean comes in. We've got a few people making their pit stops, including my teammate George Russell there on towards lap 12. So now those guys will come in for a set of medium tyres, and now is the time where I think about now what lap do I come in on for soft tyres. Let's look at the lap times. Let's see how it goes as we now close up to Valtteri Bottas in the Toro Rosso. He comes in as well. I'm going to go on for one more lap just to see how it goes, but you can see in the top right there, 2 red sectors. Probably, I think I would say it's time to come in. These medium tyres are going off as well now, and this is the crossover period anyway. Either way, even if I started the Grand Prix on lap 1, like if I started the 5 red lights on the mediums, I probably would be thinking about switching over to the softs right about on this lap there. So I decided in the end, yeah, let's come in, let's not waste any time, and let's use that fresh rubber, because also remember, there is rain to come maybe, so we may as well utilize as many laps as we can of the soft tyre running. And so the later I pit, the less laps I get on the soft tyre before we have to come in maybe for the intermediates, which I think will be a possibility. Looking at how dark it is now, how overcast it is, I think the rain will be coming sooner rather than later, in terms of I don't think it will be an awkward 1 or 2 laps of doing a dry tyre on a wet track. I think fully there will be an intermediate period at the end of this Grand Prix, but obviously you can't say for certain. This is the F1 game. Things happen just like in real life sometimes. The weather forecast can never be too accurate, so we'll see about that. But we come out in P9 then, just behind, surprisingly, Hamilton. So we've jumped Valtteri Bottas, we've jumped 2 or 3 cars there, and now we find ourselves right behind our championship rival, and the man I was trying to overtake all along on lap number 1. We now finally catch back up to him on lap number 15 here. So Hamilton's struggling for pace once again. Like Singapore, Ricciardo seems to be the faster Mercedes car as it stands in this Grand Prix. So here we go then, winding up this overtake on Hamilton to extend our championship lead, remember, because he is in 2nd place. So no matter what the other guys do of Norris and Weber of getting points on me, I'm still extending my lead technically by overtaking him there. So good stuff to see for us as an individual in P8 then. Now we've got to chase after Ricciardo, but he's got an engine failure. What a bit of luck, stroke of luck for us there. The Mercedes got out, and so we gain one more free position in this GP then, and we're up into P7. How about that? It's actually all come up for Ferrari and myself, because at the moment, I think George Russell's battling Lando Norris for the lead of this Grand Prix then. So Russell's doing a good job in this Grand Prix, but it's all come good then for us at Ferrari on this side of the garage as we overtake Hamilton. Ricciardo with the engine failure, although right now we're on standard fuel mixture, and Hamilton with DRS is going to come through and try to overtake us. We're going to try and outbrake him into turn 2. He does a great job though to get around the outside there. We get the power down a little bit later than him, and he cuts across us very awkwardly. I have to lift off for 1 second there as he nearly brake checked me mid-corner in turn 3. Have a little look to the inside, and there's a love tap of sorts. But we live to fight another day there. So getting a little bit frosty between myself and Hamilton there, as obviously this is a crucial time of the season. All these points count for the championship fight here now. And so Hamilton at the moment struggling for grip. He's trying his best to keep me behind, but it's going to be no use. We're literally pushing him through that final corner, and eventually down the main straight we go. DRS open. This time we're going to squeeze him out very much so, and we will actually just keep on the power and try and pull away basically and try and catch up now to this fight ahead of Leclerc, Verstappen and Sergio Perez, I believe, in the other McLaren then. Eventually we will catch up to them on lap number 18 then. Perez still ahead of Verstappen here, and as we close to Leclerc, you can see on the left hand side and the right the rain droplets are coming down there. So with about 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix, the rain is coming now. It's Sochi, but here we are. First and foremost, we're going to concentrate on first overtaking the car ahead of us before we even think about the rain. Here we go now. Delicate move on the outside. They're a bit of a late move that was, because actually initially I broke a little bit earlier than Leclerc, but then I kind of rolled the car through to the inside. But Hamilton's come out of nowhere to get down the inside of Leclerc in the Toro Rosso, and now he's going to try and move on me somehow around the outside. He's got supreme confidence, Hamilton does, in these slippery conditions with his Mercedes car there. Me not so much on that left-hander. The car was kind of stepping out on the rear end. but Hamilton tried his luck, didn't quite get it, but he's overtaken Leclerc, so fair play. Hamilton doing all he can to limit the damage for his sake. I guess that's all he can do really, is limit the damage in the championship fight here. But we're very much thinking the opposite of that. We're thinking about attacking, because this car has some pace here in these conditions. If you look at the minimap close enough, you'll notice George Russell has a massive gap for P1. He's leading the Grand Prix right now. Our teammate is showing, like in Italy, this car has pace, and that's giving me confidence. So here we go now, trying a bit of a cheeky switch move from the right to left, get the power now a little bit earlier than Verstappen can, side by side with the Dutchman in the Renault there, neck and neck through the left and then the right on the outside. We pull off a great little move there, and we're up the order then into P5 when you look to try and close up to Sergio Perez next for P4. So this is absolutely insane scenes to think about where we were, lap number 1, backwards facing the wrong way in last place. Here we go now, the move for P4 in this Grand Prix in very tricky conditions, I might say. There you can see how much rain is there, and Perez with a lock up on the front right there, so he goes wide and we get it as we delicately went to the brake zone there. I knew that was going to happen, and so we're up into P4. We're actually still trying to maybe close up on the back of Lando Norris even, but now I feel it's time to come in for the intermediates. It's a bit too wet now as we lock up there, both front tyres. We go off there, use the runoff area to keep the car going in a straight line there, but Sergio Perez will get the place back, so it's not over. The fight continues and the mistakes are now coming in these tricky conditions, just like was the case at the Italian Grand Prix. When the wet comes through, mistakes happen, and it's a very awkward corner there as we start to lock up again, and almost I was seeing flashing lights of crashing into Sergio Perez. Thankfully not, but yeah, it's now definitely time for the intermediates. I literally said intermediates as I went wide, and as my engineer said, do you want to change strategy, which is always quite funny to think that, yeah, I always seem to kind of second guess it right before the switchover happens, basically. So we're in now. For some reason, Perez actually continues on there. I think he doesn't want to double stack with his teammate, but I very much will double stack with George Russell, because there's no way it is going to be fast enough now on dry tyres. So here we go. Russell leaves the pit box. My team will be a little bit delayed, though, getting my tyres ready, of course, for the intermediates there. But it's still fantastic stuff here. Russell leads the way. He's been dominating this entire Grand Prix, I think, since he got into first place. And I am now in a P4 position. Well, I think it will be P4, because I'm pretty sure I'll overtake Perez easily just on this lap alone, because he's still out there on the dry tyre. So P1 and P4 from where I was on that one. I will very much take this, but there might be more to come. You don't know. 3 laps to go. I don't know if Norris and Weber fight too much for P2. We'll see about that. Let's see what we can do. Never say never in Formula 1. As we come through on that outlap then, Butler, one of the other cars, also on the dry tyres, very awkwardly having to go down the inside, then actually you make a physical overtake and go side by side with him a little bit there, because he actually keeps it going. So Butler, very awkward indeed, but that's what I mean. I'm pretty sure we'll get Perez slam dunk then for P4, because he's going to be that slow. So we're P5 once again, but that will turn into that P4 once we overtake Perez there. But behind me, Verstappen overtakes Butler as well. We have a little bit of a slide on the rear end there. Yellow flags behind us though, as I think Butler must have gotten a spin there. And oh my word, there's a second safety car now, and I'm sure it was for Devin Butler. I'm pretty sure, because I saw on the minimap there some sort of kerfuffle and clump of cars, and so that's Butler spinning. Unfortunately the replay camera did not capture then what happened next, because it just cut to my car on the replay camera system, so I can't really show you guys. So we move on to lap 26 then, the restart of the safety car. We are in P4, Norris P3, Weber P2, and George Russell, my teammate, in first place as it stands with 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And to be fair, to be honest, it's more of a case of surviving this in P4 than trying to attack Lando Norris, because you're about to see the confidence level just is so different right now in terms of the AI able to just get away. You can see I'm having to lift off there through turns 3, and so we come through limping home for P4, but it'll be across the line. George Russell secures his first win in the Ferrari car. Go on, son. Great stuff there for him, and we get a very, very good P4 from what was last place, the wrong way around on lap number 1. I will very much take that. That's been a pretty damn decent Grand Prix for us.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So it's a pretty marvellous sight then for Ferrari and for George Russell there. He gets his first win for Ferrari. It feels good. He feels like he deserves that because he's had some amazing races. You know, looking back to the British Grand Prix earlier this season, you know, some fantastic performances. So I think he deserved at least one race win at some point here with the car, you know, being as fast as it has been the last few episodes. So good for him. Obviously, we could have been up there, I think, had it not been for the incident on lap 1. But it happened and we made up for it massively because Hamilton in the end had an issue with his car. And I think might have retired or was outside the top 10. So in the end of it then, Lucas Weber now is the man in second place. Hamilton's quite some way away now in P3 and it's now turned into a fight between, quite nicely, myself and my old F2 teammate Lucas Weber from the very first episode of the career mode. That F2 storyline. I've had some battles with Weber, you know, in the past of course, but we've never had a championship fight yet. But is that going to come through? The fairy tale, proper storyline fights that the game sets yourself up for from the get-go. Are we going to get that between myself and Lucas Weber? Looks like maybe, because he's the one in the driving seat now in second place. Only 7 points back from me. So it's all to play for still with so many races to go left in this season. But as we end off the episode then, we get a decent amount of resource points, 400 bonus, and so we can finally purchase that final air upgrade. That will mean we're going to max out this Ferrari car next episode. We'll also buy a reliability upgrade as well on the internal combustion engine to help that out as well. So things are looking good, and actually that was a very tasty race. I was very scared after lap 1 that was going to be a very boring and very long Grand Prix, because Russia can sometimes be very tough to overtake and be tough to come back from, but our car had some great pace, and even the rain there, the damp period of that race really kind of made things very exciting with obviously our traction being the biggest thing in terms of the overtakes against Verstappen and whatnot. Really, really decent stuff there. So guys, if you did enjoy the episode, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly follow-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.